When I moved to New York, one of the first things that I noticed was its trash.
The city of New York, live and in color.
I knew it'd be grimy going in. It's one of the most densely populated cities on earth. Rats in the streets, overflowing trash cans, the dirtiest beaches I've ever been to. On the 4th of July, I saw people sitting on trash cans to get a better view and just walking by piles of trash as if they weren't even there. It amazed me. But on the very block that I live on, Stuyvesant Avenue, a neighborhood full of apartment buildings, warehouses, and of course delis, is this tiny little garage that makes a huge difference for the neighborhood. Ran by my neighbor Steven, who's not only keeping our streets clean, but is bringing together the community while he does it.
Is that what this is?
That's Danish, gotta be.
Gotta be.
Edges and no cuts, that's Danish.
Showing that in the midst of all this garbage and overconsumption, there is something that we can do about it. I interviewed Steven thinking he was a local hero trying to take on the trash problem in New York, but what I found a few minutes in completely changed my perspective.
And there's a reason you should probably keep your mouth a little bit more respectful, I would say.
But before we get to that, I want to talk about the lie that we've been sold about recycling. I remember a few years ago in college when I was living in the dorms, the trash and recycling chutes actually led to the same dumpster. This really opened my eyes to this growing feeling that I already had that recycling is kind of a sham. So with that thought in mind, I decided to do a little research. And by doing a little research, I mean a few years later, I was scrolling on Netflix and I saw Buy Now Shopping Conspiracy. And it really opened my eyes to the recycling industry and kind of how little it actually does. One of the key things that it shows that really blew my mind was that only 10% of our waste gets recycled, while the rest of it gets thrown in landfills, burned in incinerators, or just shipped off to another country to make it their problem. We're told that if we buy recyclable plastic, it'll get reused and it creates this beautiful closed loop that avoids overproducing. But in reality, recycling was never about saving the planet. It was about removing your guilt. The same companies that have been advertising you and convincing you to buy more of their useless junk have known about the climate crisis that we're facing since the 70s and have been running ads like this one to make you think that it's your fault.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country, and some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it.
The real solution isn't recycling, like they want you to think. The solution is reducing your consumption, but that's not very good for business. So as we buy more, being told that climate change is our fault, we're putting plastic into the air that we breathe, the food that we eat, and the water that we drink. This is where Steven comes in, my neighbor that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Okay, so it's super cool. It's literally right down the street from where I live. Is Steven right over there?
So my name is Steven Weiss. I am born and raised in New York, and I run a business called Cues, C-U-E-S. We are running a recycling business, but our method of recycling is reuse, or rehoming, or recirculation. The way we look at it is just there's all this stuff in people's homes. We sort of look at the whole neighborhood as like a warehouse. Buy, sell, trade, and give to your neighbors. We can save stuff from the landfill that's completely fine, polish it up, take a nice photo, and get it to your door.
And is this reusing, recycling, is this something that you're passionate about in particular?
No. No.
This answer shocked me and kind of derailed the entire video that I had planned, but as I learned in my last video that I made, sometimes the story that you find is different from the story that you're looking for. So I pressed on.
But I'm in my craft, so the craft I'm very passionate about.
The craft of business running.
The craft of like starting a business, yeah. So entrepreneurship I would define as like the art of opportunity, and I enjoy this a lot. Kind of like my whole day basically breaks up into like working on the business, read a bunch of stuff to think about the business, and then ostensibly read about other things and why they work or don't work to inform the business, basically.
It seems that while he doesn't have a passion for recycling in particular, his passion for business led to him creating this company. So I decided to press on and find out if maybe businesses like this could be the answer to our overconsumption problem. You've had another business before, right?
I did, yeah. And so I had an Italian sandwich business, and I had this other food business. I closed it. I had another business as well at the same time, both for a lower price for folks.
Your items are like really surprisingly...
They're cheap, they're affordable, very affordable.
How does the business profit and do well like that?
I just look at it like people like affordable things. I don't know, I've never seen otherwise. We're just like, we want to give good deals. Like, it's the obsession. It's just like, give good deals.
You'll post something on your story and I'll like look on the shop to try to buy it and it's like instantly gone. Why do you not raise prices when you obviously probably could.
I just look at people and I say like, all right, the people we don't serve are not buying Louis Vuitton. They're buying just normal. For example, if you have prices that are just Amazon prices, why would they buy from you when they can buy from Amazon? Amazon's better than us, more convenient. Amazon has new. We don't even come faster than Amazon. But the deals are good enough to be like, and the price, you know, and people want to save money. It's a tough time right now, so.
As I listen to him more and more, I realize he's just obsessed with delivering value. Not only is he delivering value because he's a cool dude, he's delivering value because this is what the market is demanding. The market is demanding cheap secondhand goods, so he made the business to do that.
The second bit is that they have a time in your day. You're not going to be using us in the whole day. You have to do. We say, okay, everyone, it's going to come on at this time. Come through the door quickly, and then go back to your life. Any art you do, I think you should do it your way. I'll say that. And so we try to do it our way.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ian from the future. I couldn't fit the entire interview in here, so if you're interested in watching the whole thing, because it's really interesting and Steven says some cool stuff.
When we first started, we actually worked out of my apartment. Brand new kid, all that kind of stuff. It definitely put my family in a very stressful situation.
Go down into the description and you'll see where you can find it.
How we think about it is there should be, and we're not there yet, there should be enough stuff where enough other people in that same zip code should be able to want it. You can build like a very cheap warehouse somewhere else, fill a bunch of trucks, shoot them into a dense city, and it'll work to that degree. But our thing is not to build like a hub and spoke thing. Our build is to build like little nodes in each zip code if we can get there.
And how has like the community of Bed-Stuy responded to this since you got here?
I feel it. I feel like people are like, yo, this is a really good concept. We have people who want to work with us. We have people who want to volunteer with us. So there's a lot of like qualitative metrics, if you will, that tell us like, okay, this is, keep going.
Can you give me like a little tour of the space here?
Sure. Pretty much everyone will come and they can either drop or collect. So we'll collect by bike within a delivery route, or people will drop off. We upload it and then it'll go into a thing like immediately. And then what Neri is doing now is she's picking and packing to begin the process of recirculation. Orders will go into a box and we'll hit the road.
Steven, is there a reason why you use a bicycle over like a truck?
There's like a current reason and then there's a starting reason. Okay. The starting reason is the bike is cheaper than a car and there's a limit to how much an individual can carry. So actually the first bike we had was actually that bike, that little kid's trailer thing. No electrical boost, nothing like this. And we used that for almost 7 months. Like really like tough work. Even putting couches on it, believe it or not. I put a couch on that thing. On a per pound basis, the bike is super effective. It's really fast. It doesn't have to follow necessarily every rule. It should, of course it does, and we do, but it just hauls and it's fast. So like, it's got all the things that you want. So this is one of the things you were like, why do you take a bike? So to go to the next stop, it's right here. But if I wanna go to the next stop, I gotta go all the way around.
Yeah.
This I can just go right here. And if this was even against traffic, I might even hit the sidewalk. So that's another thing about the bike. It's very agile.
You might be wondering why suddenly this interview is happening on the street on a bicycle instead of this little garage. Wanting to understand his business process to the end, I decided to follow him around on a bike for an hour and a half and continue this conversation. And this is, you're doing pickup or delivery right now?
Delivery. And no, both. We just run a route and it goes in a zone and the zone is per zip code. Because in the beginning we said yes to everything to start the business and just get going, we ended up covering 5 zip codes. And almost every single time that we've hit a new phase, it was a time to shrink the zip code. So our next phase is actually really covering just 11221, and which is the one you're in, and just saturating it. And this strategy comes from just like war. Wait 1 second, sorry. I'm just gonna pull over. Is that what this is?
That's Danish, gotta be.
Gotta be.
Edges and no cuts, that's Danish.
It looks good enough, I'm doing it. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
You know how earlier I was like, what kind of things do you like, don't like?
Yeah. You like chairs?
No, I hate this thing actually. Not hate, I don't like it as much.
How much do you think you'll try to sell that for?
This is 15. Yeah.
I saw somewhere that like only 10% of recycling actually gets recycled.
Once you've taken this energy and created it to be like a thing, the best version of that was the original version. Most things will break down. So no matter what, whether we're recycling all of it or some of it, it'll eventually be waste. It will go into the universe. So it's about consumption. That's how we got to this place. It just was like, wait, so we're just taking perfectly fine and just throwing it away? That doesn't make any sense. Think about how you can just keep it around by taking decent care of it. Stop telling me about like your little cuff on your sock that you did for your art experiment and you want that recycled. Like that's just not a thing. Eventually all this shit will end up in our earth. You can slow it down, it's a mitigation for sure. Don't create new demand because that has to be manufactured. Manufacturing as a sector produces like 8 to 12% of all emissions. So people did this before, by the way. Not this necessarily, but the notion of like what this is called rag picking. People did this in the late 19th century. And usually like things have their like predecessors in history. I mean, it makes sense. But now we have new kinds of scraps. This is all types of just good chairs just outside of a home, like sitting there.
Do you think that there's a growing opportunity for reused goods? I mean, in line with like thrifting and stuff like that?
I don't think you're working in like a vacuum and you can take any invention, it always feels disruptive, but no, it's just looking at what the history is right now and what are the tools that people are already doing it and what's in nature already. And just build a simple tool for it. People are already on Facebook groups, people are already doing secondhand shopping everywhere they can go. All that's occurring. Our job is just to think about like all of the currently wasteful elements of it all and try to make it less wasteful. That's why when you're like, why is it this price? It's just, the pricing is a waste. Like people being like, I have this thing and it's $45. It's like, it's not. And now it's just sitting on the internet for no reason, sitting in your home, no reason. I think the big thing is they're like, why are you charging like these prices? Yeah. But it's the other way around. I'm like, why are you letting other people charge you these prices? Why are you even buying this shit?
Right. Well, capitalism is supposed to be is where we put our money is the things that we want to grow and do better of, you know? So
yeah.
I think your business is a very good example of that. People want that.
This conversation with Steven really made me feel better about the current state of affairs. This is not someone who loves recycling and wants to save the planet. This is someone that's doing those things as a result of market demands. Capitalism is seen as this big, horrible thing because in the current state of affairs, it is this big, horrible thing. Money has gotten so powerful that it's informing our politics and international relations around the world. At every family gathering, when capitalism and politics come up, as it inevitably does, my great uncle always says something like, Adam Smith would be ashamed of what capitalism is today. And he's right, it's become this ugly, horrible thing, but businesses like Steven shows where it can really shine. While mega corporations make billions by selling you eco-friendly products, Steven is making a living by actually cleaning up our streets. No fancy slogan or climate pledge, just a guy making a difference for his community. I've always been a fan of reusing goods as it seems to be the best answer to our overconsumption problem. Reusing creates an actual closed loop, unlike that of recycling that's pushed on us by the corporations that just want to make us buy more. Many of you have started this process already. You're buying thrifted jeans because it's cool and trendy and vintage, but you can take it another step further. Just look at all these different options that Steven has for you. When I met Steven for the first time in my neighborhood, I was so inspired and I talked him up to all of my friends. He created a thriving business that profits off of literally saving the planet and bringing together the community. Is that not the most beautiful thing? Now, I know that I'm going to get a lot of hate for this because people are like, well, Taylor Swift flies her jet 100 times a year and it pollutes the earth so much more than I do in my lifetime. Sure, that's true. But what are we going to do about it? Instead of just doom scrolling and saying there's nothing I can do about it, may as well just keep partying and buying everything while the world burns down, why don't you start looking at what you can do? Recycling won't save us, and corporations clearly don't care. But ideas like the one that Steven had here are making a difference. And if I made it sound entirely like recycling is the worst thing in the world and doesn't change a thing, I do want to leave off with what Steven said about recycling in our first conversation because it changed my perspective and maybe it'll change yours. Do you have any thoughts about the recycling system that we do have in place?
The main thing I think is that people underestimate how hard that work is. There are a lot of people working their ass off to get shit off the street. Like, this work is hard. Everyone who comes here is like, yo, your work looks hard. It's hard, but we feel good about it. The amount of mass that we can save is cute. The amount of mass in tonnage by the recycling business within New York City, so the DSNY Collect, is huge amounts of like mass, huge amounts of material, and they do a good job of this. It's a decent system. It's not the worst system, and I think it's easy for people to be like, ooh, it's so it's bad, look at this, look at that. I'm like, try it. Try it one day, you'll think twice about it. It's really hard work, actually, and there's a reason not a lot of people like to do it. Yeah. And there's a reason you should probably keep your mouth a little bit more respectful, I would say.